I want to start this video with a disclaimer because a quick look through my channel, you'll find a couple of DIY recipes. A moringa mask here, an all-natural skincare routine there, a fenugreek spritz, a tour of my Ayurvedic stash, and just last year I did an onion juice recipe that I got a lot of information from Green Beauty for. So it's not that I'm saying I never DIY or I never will. It's just where I am presently, and I have to acknowledge that new information keeps coming out every day, and so what we think may be rendered outdated, and I'm going to just keep an open mind and remain curious, but I just wanted to articulate it because I do not do DIY recipes on this channel that often. So I wanted to start by probably going through the main reasons why I think DIY is so popular in the beauty community, and beauty I'll refer to as both hair and skincare. And really just generally, I think they cut across, the points I mentioned cut across industries. Just DIY in general is very popular. And the first reason is because it is cheap. More often than not, DIY is significantly more affordable than buying store-bought products. You can source the raw materials and they're in bulk and just make batches as and when needed. The second reason why I think DIY is popular is because of this idea of clean beauty, of organic and natural hair and skincare. And it's quite a controversial topic that resurfaces over and over again in the beauty community. This idea that there are good ingredients and there are bad ingredients, and bad ingredients are chemicals, and chemicals are found in store-bought products. So if I make my product at home, it is safer than buying a product that has harmful ingredients. And just that very black and white perspective that store-bought products have harmful chemicals, and so making DIY, you're more aware of what's going into your products, and so you're more likely to have formulated something that is safer for your hair and your skin. The third reason about why people love DIY is actually think it's fun for some people. People actually enjoy the process of mixing and boiling and warming and making their own products at home. And there's communities around that, so I think there's just a joy in the process. The fourth reason I think is linked to sustainability, because it is, when I've looked up like eco-friendly or sustainable hair and skincare routines, most of the people who share their routines are DIY or use a DIY approach, simply because, again, you can buy things in bulk, you can buy from companies that are more eco-friendly and they tend to source raw materials, and you can be able to store your products in packaging that you're guaranteed to reuse and repurpose. So I see the appeal in DIY because it is often a way to be more sustainable as well. And I think the last reason that people DIY is because store-bought products have done you dirty. Like, they've not worked for you in the past. You've tried different conditioners, you've bought different moisturizers, and they're just not doing it for you. So you just get to a point where you have to fix the problem yourself and make your own product. And often that is how many brands, that's many brands like background story, that they just weren't getting what they wanted in the market, and so they started whipping something together at home, and boom, they're a business now. I think that's not an exhaustive list, but I think that's part of those are a few of the main reasons that DIY is popular. Now, let me talk about why I don't really prioritize DIY in my hair and skincare routines. And the first is, I'd rather save time than to save money when it comes to many products. And I know for some people that they'll consider that laziness, but I'm more willing to save time and invest into a product that someone has taken their time to formulate correctly, and just move on with my day. And I do recognize the huge privilege in being able to do that. The second reason is because um, I don't really enjoy DIY. As I've not enjoyed DIY so far. I think it's messy, it's time consuming, and the rewards of it have just not been worth it for me. And that's kind of tied into my not needing to DIY, which is my third point. Now, again, I don't think everyone will agree with me, but especially in the online community, first, there's this idea that someone who has good hair, and it's a whole conversation on its own, or healthy hair, it is a result of their hair care practices. And so when they share a DIY recipe on the internet and they say that that is what is the reason that their hair is healthy and it's strong and it's beautiful, I don't think many people acknowledge that sometimes your hair is just resistant. It could be in spite of and not because of your practices. And also, I don't think in every video, when I'm doing my hair routine, I'll be like, my hair looks like this for many reasons, including genetics, and genetics does play a role. And so I think that when you watch a video and you do a DIY recipe because of the claims that it's going to fix the problem or give you the solution, it's important that we acknowledge that sometimes it's not really the DIY that has brought the results that people have. If you find yourself reaching for an active skincare product or ingredient, but you might not have your basics down, your cleanser, your cleansing, your moisturizing, and protecting, which I think applies to both your hair and your skincare routines, then I think it can be unfortunate that many people are sold DIY promises and dreams when the solution could just be in the fundamentals, in nailing down your cleansing, your moisturizing or conditioning, and your protecting. And so I think the issue is not in the DIY itself, it's just in the knowledge or lack of knowledge that DIY is an additional step, it is an accessory. Of course, unless you're DIYing those 3 steps that I'm talking about. But I think in my head, I'm thinking of the Ayurvedas and the rice waters and the onion juices. And yeah, just the extra stuff. Number 3, which is still linked to that point, is that formulation is no joke. I think DIY make for product formulation seem easy. Anytime I've done DIY, I panic a little because I'm like, am I using the right proportions? And also the quality of the raw material. I don't think people talk about that also. They just say, take the olive oil. And also I don't want to say that as a blanket statement. I just want to say that the quality of the ingredients themselves matter, and but also the way an ingredient is used in one product versus in another can be totally different in terms of the amount, in terms of just how it's molded to work in that product. And I just think that sometimes DIY makes it seem like it's very, very easy to put a product together. And then we have the issue with shelf life, which DIY products often have a shorter shelf life. And of course, you can purchase preservatives. And again, maybe all my concerns with DIY are from a place of lack of knowledge. It's possible that that is the case, that I've just not done enough research to be able to properly formulate a product at home. And so if you feel like you are at that place, then this point is definitely not for you. I just think for me and maybe the average person who's short of time at home, you have to be extra careful and extra knowledgeable before you just mix things together. Then the other point is like DIY does not equate to safety. This idea that when it is natural and homemade, it is better for you, I think is a very dangerous message to send to people. That's why you've not seen me talk about many foods that people put on their face or on their hair, because it can be extremely dangerous to use those things in your routines. And everything is a chemical. And maybe I will have to look that up later. But even just that lemon that is in your kitchen, it has chemical compounds. So I think we need to treat natural or raw foods and spices and herbs and powders with the view of their chemical nature, and the fact that you see them in an ingredients list in a store-bought product, you might not be very certain of what it took for that to become an extract, or for that to become a water, or to be a powder, or to be hydrolyzed. Like, there is some sort of processing that happens so that it can not only be safe for your hair or your skin, but also to be effective in your hair and your skincare routines. And lastly, technique matters. Technique matters a lot. I think that sometimes the solution is not to change your product. Sometimes the problem isn't the product that you bought, the problem is how you're using it. And so sometimes making the product different or adding this here and that there, it might still not work simply because you're using it wrong. So I also think that when using DIY, or just any products for that matter, it's important to learn how to use them the right way so that you're not disappointed, because you might find that DIY might still not work for you because there's no grasp on the directions, the timing when you use them, the pairing of products with each other. There's just a lot that goes into the technique of using products that I think both store-bought products and DIY products, I feel like we need an extensive manual on what to do and not to do with them. And that's why directions at the back of a product are non-negotiable. So those are my main points. And as I've said, like, I remain open and I recognize the place for DIY. But I haven't used DIY in my hair or skincare routine for the last, I want to say, 6-7 months at all. I've not had to, and it's fine. Like, I'm okay. I do think that it is, especially on the side of cost, I really wish that high quality store-bought products were more affordable, because I think there's been a lot of danger in people experimenting with things at home. But that said, I do acknowledge the place for DIY. It's just that I'm currently not doing DIY in my hair and skincare routines for the reasons that I've given in this video. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Like, do you make your own hair and skincare products? How do you feel about DIY? Are you for it? Are you against it? Are you in between? I don't think also it has to be something that's very black and white as you've seen in this video. But I just wanted to give clarity to people who've also been following my hair and my skincare journeys on why I will probably not make a video on making my own sunscreen or making my own shampoo. So that's it for today's video. Always remember that your hair is your crown and your body is a temple. Embrace it, love it, and take care of it. Goodbye.